Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the show. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockridge, your host of the show. All right, guys, today we're going to be talking about wide receivers. We're going to be talking about 5 must-own wide receivers. Now, these are going to be guys that win leagues. So this is a very important video. I'm going to start right here with the very first player on my list, and that's Deebo Samuel. Now, obviously, there's all kinds of things going on right now with Brandon Aiyuk. He's talking about holding out a training camp. He's been trying to get a deal done with his contract all offseason. And if this dude does not show up, Deebo Samuel immediately becomes a player who has back end of the first round, high end of the second round value, and he has that kind of upside. I mean, you look at him last year, 2.45 yards per route run. He was very efficient as always, 527 yards after the catch, top 10 in the league. We all know that this is one of the best wide receivers in the entire league as far as running with the ball in his hands after the catch. We know that they're going to line him up in the backfield and even use him as a running back a little bit. This dude has all the talent in the world, and now he's potentially going to be the only wide receiver in his offense along with Ricky Pearsall, right? So, if Brandon Aiyuk ends up holding out, Deebo is a smash play. Even if Brandon Aiyuk shows up a little bit late and isn't 100%, we know that players that don't show up for training camp typically don't go into the season at 100% talent level capacity because they haven't been training, they haven't been working out. So Deebo Samuel is going to be the wide receiver one in this offense regardless. It's just looking like Deebo Samuel is going to absolutely smash. You've got to draft this dude. Next player on my list is going to be Tyreek Hill. Now, you look at Tyreek Hill, and he just dominated in every statistical category last season. He had a 33.7% target share, first in the league, a 44% air yard share, 1,799 receiving yards, led the league in receiving yards, despite missing a few games down the stretch. Remember, he had that minor injury late in the season and was taken off the field. He missed a little bit of time, not much, but, still led the league in receiving yards despite missing a little bit of time. This dude is one of the best, most talented wide receivers in the NFL. He's incredibly fast. We know how good he is in space with the ball in his hands, running after the catch. He's the best deep threat in the entire league. He can catch passes at all levels of the field. This dude is an absolute monster. And the Miami Dolphins are projected to be a top 5 offense in the NFL. We know that we want to draft great players that play on great offenses. This dude has everything going for him, absolutely no red flags. A great player and a great offense, getting a darn near 50% air yard share. This dude is absolutely guaranteed to go off this season. He's completely and totally bust-proof, and he has the highest ceiling in fantasy. Next player on my list is going to be Chris Godwin. Now, this dude last year had a 23.8% team target share, very similar to the target share that Mike Evans had. It's just that he wasn't able to produce the same season that Mike Evans had. This is a fluke. I'm telling you, he's going to bounce back. Touchdown regression is on the way. This dude only had 3 total touchdowns last year. Look for him to bounce back in a significant way as far as scoring touchdowns. And keep in mind that in his super dominant 2019 season, he had a 22% target share. So his target share last year was actually higher than it was in his super dominant 2019 season. So he's still getting the target share that he needs to absolutely thrive. It's just that he's a slot wide receiver, and they were lining him up on the outside too much. They're moving him back to the slot. He's going to be taking the majority of his snaps from the slot this coming season. So he's going to have his return to dominance. This dude is the best value of any player at any position in underdog drafts right now. He is my most owned player on Underdog Fantasy right now at 27%. I have 27% Chris Godwin right now. I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm way overweight on Chris Godwin, and I'm going to continue to be. He's probably going to be my most owned player going into the season. Next player on my list is going to be George Pickens. Now, this is a guy who last year, 2.2 yards per route run, 18.1 yards per reception. So he led the league in yards per reception. This dude is the ultimate big play wide receiver, right up there with Tyreek Hill and Jamar Chase. We know he's going to catch passes down the field. We know he can catch passes at all levels of the field. He's hands down the best contested catch wide receiver in the league. Well, right up there with DeAndre Hopkins anyway. Anyway, this dude, one of the best wide receivers in the game as far as a pure talent perspective, just really hasn't had a quarterback to throw him the ball yet. Now you give him either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. Whoever ends up starting, it's going to be a massive upgrade from the quarterback that he's had slinging him the rock. So I love George Pickens to really take a step forward this season. He is a must-own wide receiver. Next player on my list, the final player I have here is going to be Christian Kirk. Now this is a guy who you look at last year. He had a 48.6% win rate versus man coverage. This dude is absolutely dominant versus man coverage. He's a very good route runner. This is a very big reason why. Obviously, the offense added Gabe Davis. I don't think that Gabe Davis is going to be a factor in this offense whatsoever. It's going to be the Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram show. Look for these two pass catchers to absolutely explode in this offense. 2.12 yards per route run for Christian Kirk last year. Very solid. Look for another good yards per route run efficiency because he's so good against man coverage. And he had 787 receiving yards in just 12 games. He would have easily eclipsed 1,000 yards, probably would have eclipsed 1,200 yards had he been healthy. Look for him to have a 1,200-plus receiving yard season this year in Jacksonville. I love Christian Kirk to absolutely explode. All right, guys, those are my most-owned wide receivers. See you later.